The war had been going badly for 300 years. Commander Telos stood at the observation deck of the recruitment station. The station floated in the empty space between Earth and its moon. Through the thick glass windows he could see the blue planet below. It looked small, weak, unimportant. His 4 arms were crossed over his chest. His skin reflected the cold light of the stars. He had served the Galactic Coalition for 90 years. He had seen many species join the fight against the swarm. Most of them died quickly. Some lasted a few decades. None of them had turned the tide of the war. Now the coalition was desperate. They had contacted a new species. Humans, they called themselves. They lived on that small blue planet below. They had only discovered space travel a few centuries ago. They were bobbies in the universe. Infants who still fought wars among themselves over patches of dirt. "The first transport is arriving," said Lieutenant. He stood beside the commander, his scales shimmering green under the artificial lights. 500 human volunteers. Telos made a sound of disgust. Volunteers. They do not even know what they volunteered for. They were told about the swarm. Words cannot describe they will learn soon enough. Telos turned away from the window. What do we know about these creatures? Pulled up a holographic display. Human biological data floated in the air between them. Average, 80 years. No natural armor. No venom glands. No ability to regenerate limbs. They require oxygen to breathe and cannot survive in vacuum. They need to eat 3 times a day and sleep for 8 hours every night cycle. Pathetic. They do have some advantages. They can adapt to different temperatures. They heal from wounds that would kill most species, and they have unusual endurance. They can keep moving for days without stopping. Telos waved his hand through the hologram, dismissing it. Endurance means nothing against the swarm does not get tired. The swarm does not need to sleep. The swarm simply keeps coming until everything is dead. The transport ship appeared through the observation window. It was a massive vessel designed to carry thousands of soldiers. Today, it carried only 500 humans. They were the first batch, a test group. If they survived long enough, more would follow. Telos did not expect them to survive long. The docking procedure took 30 minutes. Telos watched from above as the humans were herded into the processing halls. They looked even smaller in person. They wore strange clothes in different colors. Some of them were talking to each other. Some were looking around with wide eyes. A few stood very still, their faces showing no emotion at all. They are so different from each other, observed. Different sizes, different skin colors, different everything. A sign of a weak species, Telos replied. Strong species evolve toward perfection. These creatures cannot even agree on what they should look like. Down in the processing hall, the humans were being organized into lines. Medical officers scanned them with devices that measured their vital signs. Technicians fitted them with translator implants, small devices that would allow them to understand coalition languages. The process was efficient. The coalition had done this many times before. Among the 500 humans, 5 of them would later become important, but at this moment they were just faces in the crowd. Nobody noticed them. Nobody cared. Stood in line number 7. He was 28 years old. He had served in the Republic of Korea Army for 6 years before volunteering for this mission. His face was calm. His eyes moved constantly, studying his surroundings. He noted the positions of the guards. He counted the exits. He memorized the patrol patterns. He did this without thinking. It was habit. Park stood in line number 12. She was 22 years old, a university student studying engineering. She had volunteered because she wanted to see alien technology. Right now, she was staring at the medical scanning device. She could already see 3 ways to make it more efficient. Lee stood in line number 3. He was 31 years old and had worked construction since he was 18. He was the largest human in the processing hall. His hands were rough from years of hard labor. He looked at the ceiling supports and automatically calculated their load-bearing capacity. Stood in line number 9. She was 26 years old, an emergency room nurse from a busy hospital in Seoul. Her hands were steady. Her breathing was slow. She had seen worse chaos than this. Saturday nights in the emergency room were more stressful than standing in an alien processing line. Minyu stood in line number 15. He was 24 years old. Before volunteering, he had been a professional gamer. He had spent the last 10 years training his reflexes, his reaction time, his ability to process information faster than anyone around him. His eyes were already tracking the movement of every guard in the room. None of them knew each other yet. None of them knew what was coming. The processing took several hours. When it was finished, a holographic image appeared in the center of the hall. It showed a creature that looked like a nightmare, multiple legs, hundreds of teeth, eyes that seemed to look in every direction at once. "This is an automated voice announced. "The swarm has been at war with the Galactic Coalition for 300 years. The swarm consumes everything in its path. It does not negotiate. It does not surrender. It exists only to spread and destroy." The humans stared at the image. Some of them looked scared. Some looked confused. A few looked excited. Looked at the creature and began analyzing its body structure. He looked for weak points. He found several. "You have volunteered to join the Coalition Defense Forces," the voice continued. "You will receive 6 months of basic training. After training, you will be assigned to support units. Your duties will include supply transport, equipment maintenance, and medical assistance. You will not be expected to engage in direct combat." Park frowned. Support units? She had not come all this way to carry boxes. "Your training begins tomorrow. You will obey all orders from your superior officers. You will follow all coalition regulations. You will represent your species with honor." The hologram disappeared. Guards began directing the humans toward their sleeping quarters. The rooms were small and plain. Each human was given a bed, a storage container, and a standard-issue uniform. That night, 500 humans lay in their beds in an alien space station, thinking about what they had signed up for. Did not sleep. He spent the night planning. Park did not sleep. She spent the night thinking about all the alien technology she had already seen and how she could make it better. Lee slept for exactly 6 hours, then woke up and did push-ups in his small room. He had done the same thing every morning for 13 years. Slept peacefully. She had learned to sleep anywhere, anytime. In her job, rest was precious. Minyu stayed awake playing games on a small device he had smuggled aboard. His reflexes needed to stay sharp. High above them, Commander Telos reviewed the day's reports. He did not bother reading the files on individual humans. They were all the same to him. Weak creatures from a weak planet. They would carry supplies. They would fix equipment. They would die eventually like all the others. He closed his files and went to sleep. He had no idea that the 500 humans in his station would change the course of a 300-year war. He had no idea that the Galactic Coalition had just made the best decision in its history. He had no idea about anything. But he would learn. They would all learn. The desert moon of 4 was designed to break soldiers. The sun was too bright. The air was too hot. The sand got into everything. The Coalition had chosen this place specifically because it was miserable. They believed that misery created discipline. They believed that suffering created obedience. They were about to learn that humans had a different relationship with suffering. The transport ship landed at dawn. 500 humans walked out onto the sand and immediately began sweating. The temperature was over 40 degrees. The air was dry enough to crack skin. 2 suns hung in the orange sky, beating down without mercy. Drill instructor stood waiting for them. He was a species known for their strength and their cruelty. His body was covered in thick scales. A long scar ran across his face, a reminder of some ancient battle. He had trained recruits from 17 different species. He had broken all of them. "Form lines," he commanded. His voice was harsh and cold. "You will stand at attention until I tell you to move." The humans obeyed. They stood in the burning heat while walked between them, studying them with disgust. "You are the weakest recruits I have ever trained," he announced. "Your bodies are soft, you are short, you cannot breathe underwater, you cannot see in the dark, you cannot survive without food and water for more than a few days." He stopped in front of and stared at him. "You are useless." Stared straight ahead. His face showed nothing. He had heard worse from drill instructors on Earth. "You will learn to follow orders," continued. "You will learn to stand in formation. You will learn to fire when told and retreat when told. Nothing more is expected of you. Nothing more is possible for creatures like you." The training began immediately. The first week was basic physical conditioning. Running, climbing, carrying heavy equipment. The exercises were designed for species much stronger than humans. The coalition expected the humans to fail. The humans did not fail. Lee finished every exercise first. His body was built for hard work. 13 years of construction had made him stronger than the training program expected. When the instructors increased the weights, he simply worked harder. When they made the runs longer, he simply ran faster. The other humans watched him and pushed themselves to keep up. They did not want to embarrass their species. On the fourth day, something unexpected happened. Park was assigned to weapons maintenance. She was given a standard coalition plasma rifle and told to clean it. The rifle was a simple design, used by auxiliary troops across the galaxy. It had not been changed in 200 years. Cleaned the rifle in 10 minutes, then she took it apart completely. The instructor, a thin alien with 6 eyes, rushed over. "What are you doing? You were told to clean it, not destroy it." "The cooling system is wrong," said, not looking up. "The energy discharge is wasting 30% of the power, and the aiming mechanism is calibrated for species with different eye placement than humans." She reached into a nearby pile of scrap metal and pulled out a small piece. "If I add this here and adjust this part here, the firing rate will increase by 40%. "That is impossible. Coalition engineers designed that weapon. They spent years perfecting it." Finished her modifications and handed the rifle back. "Test it." The instructor took the rifle to the firing range. He fired 10 shots. His eyes went wide. "How did you know how to do this?" he demanded. "Who taught you?" Shrugged. "Nobody. I could see the problems, could not everyone?" The instructor filed his first report that night. It was ignored. By the second week, more strange things were happening. The obstacle course on 4 was famous throughout the coalition. It included climbing walls, tunnels filled with obstacles, pits of sand that could swallow a soldier whole, and barriers that required specific techniques to pass. The course was designed to take 2 hours. The fastest time ever recorded was 1 hour and 43 minutes, set by a soldier with 4 arms. Lee completed it in 37 minutes. The instructors reviewed the footage. They could not understand what they were seeing, had not followed the intended path. He had looked at the course, analyzed the structure, and found a completely different route. He had climbed walls that were not meant to be climbed. He had jumped gaps that were supposed to be impossible. He had solved the course like a puzzle, not a test. "He cheated," one instructor insisted. "There are no rules against what he did," another replied. "The course does not say you must follow a specific path. It only says you must reach the end." Minyu was creating problems in the combat simulator. The simulator was a holographic training system that created virtual enemies. Recruits were supposed to practice basic shooting techniques. They were expected to hit about 60% of their targets. Minyu hit 100% of his targets. Then he hit 100% again. Then the simulator ran out of difficulty settings. "The machine is broken," the instructor reported. A technician came to examine the simulator. "The machine is fine," she said. "His reaction time is simply faster than the system can measure." "That is impossible. No organic creature can react that quickly." The technician pulled up Minu's file. "It says here he was a professional gamer for 10 years. He played games that required reflexes faster than most species can achieve. He trained his brain to process information at speeds we have never seen in a human before." The instructor stared at the young human who was casually stretching while waiting for his next turn. "He trained his brain. How?" "By playing games for fun." The reports piled up. Every day, something new happened. A human would solve a problem in a way nobody expected. A human would survive a test they were supposed to fail. A human would improve equipment that had not been improved in centuries. Reorganized the medical supply system in her barracks. She had looked at the way the coalition stored medical equipment and immediately saw a dozen problems. Supplies were hard to reach in emergencies. Labels were confusing. Critical items were stored in the wrong locations. She fixed all of it in one night without asking permission. When the medical officer discovered what she had done, he was furious. Then he tested the new system. It was 3 times more efficient than the old one. Spent his nights studying coalition military history. He read about every battle against the swarm. He memorized tactics, formations, strategies. He began to see patterns that the coalition commanders had missed. He started making notes about what he would do differently. Nobody asked for his notes. He made them anyway. The 5 humans began to notice each other. They were the ones who stood out. They were the ones who did not fit the coalition's expectations. One night, they sat together in the mess hall. "They think we are stupid," Park said. "They think we cannot do anything." "Let them think that," replied. "Underestimation is an advantage." "I do not like being underestimated," Lee said. Smiled, "Then we will have to show them." Minu was playing with his food, moving pieces around like game characters. "They have no idea what is coming," he said. "They have never met humans before. They do not understand what we are." "What are we?" asked. Minu looked up, his eyes sharp and focused. "We are survivors. Our planet has been trying to kill us for 300,000 years. Ice ages, plagues, predators, we survived all of it. This training," he gestured around at the harsh desert moon, "this is nothing." Drill instructor sent his second report to Commander Telos that night. This one was marked urgent. It said, "The humans are anomalous. Request guidance." Telos deleted it without reading. He would regret that later. Everyone would regret everything later. But for now, the training continued, and the humans kept surprising everyone. It was only the beginning. Week 4 brought the tactical assessment exercise. Every recruit in coalition history had to take this test. It was a simulated battle against holographic swarm attackers. The simulation was controlled by advanced computers that adapted to whatever the recruits did. The exercise was designed to be impossible to win. The purpose was not victory. The purpose was to teach recruits that they could not win. They were supposed to learn fear. They were supposed to learn that when the order came to retreat, they should run. They were unstoppable. Fighting back was pointless. Only survival mattered. The average survival time was 12 minutes. The longest anyone had ever lasted was 47 minutes. No one had ever won. Training Unit 7, which contained all 500 humans, was assigned to take the exercise on a Tuesday morning. They were divided into groups of 50. Park, Lee, and Minu were placed in Group 4. Their assigned leader was unnamed. They were known for being careful and cautious, had scored high marks in following orders. He had never shown any original thinking. The coalition considered this a good quality. The simulation room was massive. It could create any environment. Today it created the ruins of a city. Buildings were broken, streets were filled with rubble. The sky was dark with smoke. Somewhere in the distance the sound of the could be heard, clicking, scratching, thousands of legs moving across stone. "Remember your training," said. His voice was shaking. "We hold position until the retreat order comes. We do not engage unless necessary. We survive." The first wave of appeared 30 seconds later. They came from everywhere. They crawled over buildings. They burst through walls. They emerged from holes in the ground. Each one was a nightmare of teeth and claws and hunger. The holographic projections were perfect. They looked completely real. Froze, his body would not move. His mind could not process what he was seeing. This happened to many recruits during their first simulation. The fear was too much. They were 20 meters away. Did not hesitate. She had seen people freeze in emergency rooms. She knew what to do. "Is down," she announced, her voice calm and clear. "I am taking command. Mean you high ground now. Cover fire, block that entrance with rubble. I need you to find their communication frequency." "You see what I see." Was already moving. His eyes had been analyzing the attack pattern from the moment they appeared. They are using swarm tactics. They attack in waves from multiple directions to overwhelm defenders, but they have a coordination pattern. Watch the ones in front. They pause every few seconds. That is when the next wave receives instructions. Can we disrupt it? If can find their frequency, yes. Minyu had already climbed to the top of a broken building. His plasma rifle was modified with the improvements had designed. He began firing before the first reached their position. Every shot hit. Every target fell. His fingers moved so fast they were almost invisible. Lee grabbed a piece of broken wall that weighed more than he did. He dragged it across the entrance to their position, blocking one avenue of attack. Then he grabbed another piece, and another. In 2 minutes, he had built a defensive barrier that forced the into a narrow approach. Funneling them, observed. "Good, Minyu, concentrate fire on the funnel point." "Already doing it." Park had opened a panel on one of the simulation control nodes. She was not supposed to be able to access it. The controls were locked with coalition security codes. She had bypassed them in 40 seconds. "Found it," she said. "The simulation uses a central coordination system to control the. If I can access it, I can turn their own reconnaissance drones against them." "Do it." "It will take time." "You have 3 minutes." The first wave of reached their position. The ones that made it through Minyu's fire slammed into his barriers. They climbed, they scratched, they screamed. Organized the other recruits into firing lines. She assigned sectors. She rotated shooters to prevent fatigue. When a recruit was injured, she pulled them back and treated their wounds while directing others to fill the gap. Her voice never rose. Her hands never shook. Moved through the position like a ghost. He appeared wherever the defense was weakest. He anticipated where the next attack would come. 300 years of coalition military records were in his head. He knew how they fought. He knew their patterns. He knew their weaknesses. "Second wave coming from the east," he announced. "Minyu, shift fire, reinforce that wall." 30 seconds until I have the drones," called out. The second wave was larger than the first. The simulation was adapting, throwing more enemies at them. This was supposed to be the point where recruits broke and ran. This was supposed to be impossible. The humans did not run. "Drones are ours," announced. Suddenly, the small flying machines that had been scouting for the turned around. They flew into the formations and exploded. Chain reactions rippled through the enemy ranks. The second wave faltered. "Push forward," ordered, "now while they are confused." "That is against protocol," someone said. "We are supposed to defend and retreat." Looked at the speaker. "Protocol is for people who want to lose. Move." They moved. For the next 5 hours, the humans did not just survive. They fought back. They advanced. They took ground. They used tactics that were not in any coalition manual. They improvised weapons from debris. They set traps using the environment. They turned their own tools against them. The simulation kept increasing the difficulty. More enemies, faster enemies, smarter enemies. The computers running the exercise had never seen anything like this. They kept trying to end the scenario. The humans kept refusing to lose. Collapsed a building on a command unit. Then he dug survivors out of the rubble with his bare hands and carried them to safety. Minyu ran out of ammunition and switched to throwing rocks. He hit his targets anyway. An assault drone to fight for them, then she another, then another. Performed emergency surgery on a wounded recruit using tools she had made from broken equipment. The recruit lived. Coordinated everything. He was everywhere and nowhere. His voice was calm. His orders were perfect. He saw the entire battlefield in his mind, every piece moving where it should. After 6 hours and 17 minutes, the simulation finally ended. It did not end because the humans lost. It ended because the simulation ran out of enemies to generate. The computers had reached their maximum output. There were no more to send. For the first time in coalition history, someone had won the unwinnable exercise. The simulation room went silent. The holographic ruins faded away. 50 humans stood in the empty space, breathing hard, covered in simulated wounds that would heal, holding weapons that should have been useless. Drill instructor stood at the observation window. He had not moved for 6 hours. His mouth was open. His eyes were wide. He had trained recruits from 17 different species. He had never seen anything like this. Behind him, the exercise monitoring system displayed the final statistics. Survival time, 6 hours, 17 minutes. Previous record, 47 minutes. Enemies eliminated, 12,847. Previous record, 203. Slowly turned to his communication console. His hands were shaking. "Get me Commander Telos," he said. "Tell him it is urgent. Tell him something impossible has happened." He paused, looking back at the humans through the window. They were helping each other, checking wounds, laughing. After 6 hours of fighting an army of nightmares, they were laughing. "Tell him," continued, his voice barely a whisper, "that I do not think we understood what humans are." In the simulation room, gathered the 5 of them together. "That was good," he said, "but it was just a simulation. Real combat will be harder." "Will they let us see real combat?" asked. Smiled, it was a small smile, but it was real. After today, they will not have a choice. Above them, alarms were already sounding. Reports were being filed. Emergency meetings were being called. The entire coalition military command structure was about to receive the most surprising news in 300 years. The humans were not what they expected. The humans were something else entirely. And the war was about to change. Commander Telos arrived on 4 within 18 hours. He did not come alone. With him were 6 intelligence officers, 4 military strategists, and 2 scientists who specialized in studying alien species. They arrived in a fast transport ship, the kind used only for emergencies. The kind used when something had gone very wrong. Or very strange. The 5 humans were brought to an interrogation room. It was a cold place with metal walls and harsh lights. The kind of room designed to make people uncomfortable. The kind of room where questions were asked and answers were demanded. Sat in the center chair. Park was to his left, Lee was to his right, and Minyu sat behind them. None of them looked nervous. They had been through harder things than sitting in a cold room. Commander Telos stood before them. His 4 arms were crossed. His face showed no expression, but his eyes were sharp and angry. "Explain," he demanded, "who trained you?" The question hung in the air. Sir asked. "Do not pretend to be confused." Telos slammed one of his hands on the table. The exercise you completed yesterday was impossible. No species in coalition history has ever won it. No species has ever come close. You did not just win, you dominated, you destroyed the simulation itself. He leaned forward. Someone trained you for this. Someone gave you advanced tactics. Someone violated first contact protocols. Met the commander's eyes calmly. No one trained us, sir, not for this. Impossible. It is the truth. Telos turned to Park. You modified a plasma rifle using principles that took coalition engineers 2 centuries to develop. Where did you learn this? Shrugged, the design was inefficient. I could see the problems, I fixed them. You cannot just see problems in technology you have never encountered before. I can. I do not know how to explain it better than that. Telos moved to Minu. You demonstrated reflexes that exceed our fastest species, that can move quickly, that have fast reactions. You are faster than all of them. How is this possible? Minu thought about it for a moment. I played video games, he said, for about 14 hours a day for 10 years. Video games. Yes, games for entertainment. Some of them require very fast reactions. If you cannot react quickly, you lose. I did not like losing, so I became faster. Telos stared at him. You trained your nervous system to superhuman speeds by playing games. Yes. The commander turned to Lee. You completed an obstacle course in 37 minutes. The course was designed to take 2 hours. You found paths that our engineers did not know existed. Nodded slowly. I have worked construction for 13 years. I know how buildings are made. I know how they can be climbed. I know how they fall apart. Your course was made of buildings. I just looked at it the right way. The right way. The way a builder looks at things, not the way a soldier looks at things. Finally, Telos turned to. You took command of the exercise when your assigned leader failed. You coordinated 50 soldiers through 6 hours of combat without any tactical training. You performed surgery with improvised tools. Explain. Smiled slightly. I worked emergency rooms in Seoul for 4 years, Saturday nights, holidays, times when everything goes wrong at once. She paused. Your swarm is scary, but it is not scarier than a busy emergency room on New Year's Eve. You learn to think fast. You learn to stay calm. You learn to save lives with whatever you have. Telos was silent for a long moment. The intelligence officers behind him were whispering to each other. The scientists were taking notes rapidly. You expect me to believe, the commander said slowly, that your combat effectiveness comes from playing games, building things, and working in hospitals. And reading, added, I read a lot. Reading. Yes, military history, tactics, strategy. My planet has had many wars. We have learned many lessons. He looked directly at Telos. You have been fighting for 300 years. We have been fighting each other for 300,000 years. Our species has done nothing but fight and survive and adapt since we first stood upright. The room was very quiet. Telos turned to one of the scientists. Bring up the human history files. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. Images began flowing across it. Human history, human wars, human suffering, human survival. The world wars, millions dead, cities destroyed and then rebuilt. The plagues, diseases that killed half the population, and humanity survived. The ice ages, freezing temperatures that covered the planet, and humanity survived. The predators, creatures that hunted humans for food, and humanity hunted them back. Telos watched the images in silence. He saw humans fighting on every continent. He saw them building and destroying and rebuilding. He saw them reaching for the stars while still fighting wars on their own planet. He saw them refuse to die over and over and over again. Your planet, he said slowly, has been trying to kill you for 300,000 years. Yes, replied. And you survived. Yes. Not just survived, you thrived. You conquered your planet, you developed technology, you reached space. Telos turned to face the humans fully. You did all of this while constantly fighting for survival. That is correct. Telos was quiet for a long time. The intelligence officers had stopped whispering. Everyone in the room understood something important was happening. We made a mistake, the commander said finally. We looked at humans and saw weakness. Short, soft bodies, no natural weapons. We thought you were fragile. We thought you needed protection. We assigned you to supply units, support roles, auxiliary positions. He shook his head slowly. We did not understand. You are not weak despite your limitations. You are strong because of them. Your short lives make you urgent. Your soft bodies make you careful. Your lack of natural weapons made you create better ones. He gestured at the holographic display. You were never given anything. You earned everything. Every advantage, every survival, every victory. Park spoke up. So what happens now? Telos looked at her, then at all of them. 5 humans who had done the impossible without even trying. Now, he said, I go before the Coalition High Command. I tell them that we have been fools. I tell them that the species we recruited to carry supplies may be the most dangerous soldiers the galaxy has ever seen. He paused. And I recommend that we give you everything you need to prove it. You would do that? Asked. I have fought for 90 years. I have watched the Coalition lose ground every decade. I have seen species after species fail against the swarm. His 4 arms dropped to his sides. If there is any chance that humans can turn this war around, I will take it. I will take any chance at this point. Stood up, the other 4 stood with him. Commander, he said, give us a real fight, not a simulation, not a training exercise, a real battle against the. Let us show you what humans can do when we are not holding back. Telos studied him for a long moment. You are confident. We are human. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and each other. A war against alien creatures is just another problem to solve. The commander turned and walked toward the door. Before leaving, he stopped. There is something else I learned from your history files, he said. Something that concerns me more than anything else. What is that? Telos looked back at them. Humans do not just fight to survive. You fight to win. You do not stop until victory is complete. Once you start a war, you end it. He paused. The Coalition has been content to hold the line against the for 300 years, fighting but not winning, surviving but not conquering. He opened the door. I wonder if they understand what is about to happen to them. I wonder if anyone does. He left. The 5 humans looked at each other. That went well, Minu said. Laughed. It was a deep, warm sound. I think we just volunteered for something much bigger than carrying supplies. Good, said. I did not come all this way to be bored. Smiled. Let us hope they are ready for us. Said nothing. He was already thinking about the battles to come, the tactics he would use, the strategies he would develop, the war he would help win. The universe was about to learn something important. Humans were not just survivors. Humans were conquerors. And they had no idea what was coming. The Coalition High Command met in a chamber that had witnessed 3 centuries of war. 12 species sat around a massive circular table. Each representative had led their people through countless battles against the swarm. Each one had watched their soldiers die. Each one had accepted long ago that the war would never truly end. The best they could hope for was survival, holding the line, fighting today so tomorrow could exist. Commander Telos stood in the center of the chamber. Above him, holographic displays showed footage from the training exercise. 50 humans fighting an army of nightmares. 50 humans winning. The representatives watched in silence. When the footage ended, no one spoke. Finally, the High Chancellor leaned forward. This footage is authentic. It is, Telos confirmed. It personally. The humans did not just survive the tactical assessment. They broke it. They defeated more simulated enemies than all previous recruits combined. "How is this possible?" asked the delegate. "They are a primitive species. They have only had space travel for a few centuries. They have no natural advantages." Telos pulled up new data, human history again, but this time he highlighted different things: survival rates, adaptation speeds, problem-solving capabilities. "We evaluated humans wrong," he said. "We looked at their biology and saw weakness. We did not look at their history. We did not understand what made them." The displays showed ancient humans hunting creatures 10 times their size. They showed humans surviving ice ages by building shelters and making fire. They showed humans spreading across every continent, adapting to deserts and jungles and frozen wastelands. "Their planet has been trying to kill them for 300,000 years, Telos continued. "They did not just survive. They dominated. They conquered their entire world. They reached space while still fighting wars among themselves. Their entire existence has been one long battle for survival." "Many species have difficult," the representative said. "That does not make them special." "No, but this does." Telos changed the display. "Humans do not wait for someone to teach them. They see problems and solve them on their own. They adapt without instruction. They improve without permission. In 4 weeks of training, human recruits modified weapons that our engineers have not changed in 2 centuries. They completed obstacle courses in ways our designers never imagined. They took tactics that took us decades to develop and reinvented them in hours." He paused, letting the information settle. "They are not following our training. They are making it obsolete." The chamber was silent. "What are you proposing?" the High Chancellor asked. "I am proposing that we have been using humans wrong. We assigned them as auxiliary support, supply carriers, medical assistants. We treated them as the weakest species in the coalition." Telos stood. "I propose we reassign all human forces to primary combat roles. Give them our best weapons. Give them our best technology. Let them adapt it. Let them improve it. And let them fight." "That is a significant risk," said the delegate. "We have invested resources in human training. If they fail in combat, we lose everything. If we do nothing, we lose everything anyway." Telos pulled up the war maps. Red zones covered most of the display, controlled space, growing every year. "We have been losing this war for 3 centuries. Every decade we lose more ground. Every decade more species fall. The strategies that worked yesterday do not work today. They adapt. They learn. They overcome." He pointed at the footage of the human soldiers. "But so do they. And they do it faster than any species we have ever seen." The debate lasted for 6 hours. Representatives argued. Data was analyzed. Risks were calculated. In the end, the vote was not even close. The human integration combat units were approved unanimously. 6 months later, the system prepared for its 18th liberation attempt. The swarm had held for 40 years. It was a strategically vital system with 3 habitable planets and rich resources. 17 coalition assaults had failed. Each one had cost thousands of lives. Each one had ended in retreat. The 18th assault was different. Sargent stood on the bridge of the assault carrier. He wore the new combat armor designed specifically for humans. Park had improved the original design 17 times before she was satisfied. It was now lighter, stronger, and more adaptive than anything the Coalition had ever produced. Around him, 5,000 human soldiers prepared for battle. They were the first wave of human combat forces. They had trained for 6 months. They had studied every battle in Coalition history. They had developed new tactics, new strategies, new ways of fighting. They had no idea what was coming. 30 minutes to planetfall, the ship's computer announced. Opened a communication channel. "All units, this is Sergeant. You know why we are here. You know what the Coalition expects. 17 assaults have failed. 17 times soldiers have died trying to take this system back." He paused. We are going to succeed, not because we are stronger than the species who came before us, not because we have better weapons. We are going to succeed because we are human. We do not know how to lose. We do not know how to give up. We fight until the fight is over, and then we fight some more. The communication channel crackled with responses. Soldiers checking in. Units confirming ready status. 5,000 humans prepared to change the course of a 300-year war. Captain led the medical operations. She had reorganized the entire coalition medical system in 6 months. Survival rates had already increased by 40% just from her improvements. Today, she would save more lives in one battle than the previous 17 campaigns combined. Technical Specialist Park had its own defensive systems. She had spent months studying captured technology. She had found weaknesses no one else had noticed. Today, the swarm's own machines would turn against them. Strike Specialist Minu led the infiltration team. 12 soldiers with the fastest reflexes in the coalition. Their job was to reach the central hive mind and destroy it. Without the hive mind, they would lose their coordination. They would become animals instead of an army. Combat Engineer Lee led the construction teams. They would build fortifications under fire. They would create bridges across impossible terrain. They would reshape the battlefield itself to give human forces the advantage. And Sergeant would coordinate everything. He would see the entire battle in his mind. He would move pieces like a master playing a game. He would find victory where others found only death. The assault began at dawn. They expected another failed attack. They expected the coalition forces to advance slowly, fight defensively, and eventually retreat. They had seen it 17 times before. They were not prepared for humans. The human forces did not advance slowly. They attacked fast and hard, hitting multiple targets simultaneously. They did not fight defensively. They pushed forward constantly, never giving the time to respond. They did not retreat. They did not know how to retreat. Minu's infiltration team reached the hive mind in 4 hours. It should have taken days. The defenders could not track them. Human reflexes were too fast. Human tactics were too unpredictable. By the time the swarm understood what was happening, the hive mind was already burning. Without coordination, the defense collapsed. Built a bridge across a chasm that the thought was. He did it under enemy fire, his construction teams working with calm efficiency while plasma bolts exploded around them. Reinforcements poured across the bridge, surrounding positions that had held for decades. Turned the swarm's own automated defenses against them. Weapons that had killed thousands of coalition soldiers suddenly began firing on their masters. They had never seen their own technology betray them. They did not know how to respond. Medical teams saved lives that should have been lost. Soldiers who would have died from their wounds were treated, stabilized, and returned to the fight. They were used to enemies who weakened as the battle continued. Human forces got stronger. Saw everything. He directed forces like a conductor leading an orchestra. Every unit knew where to go. Every soldier knew their purpose. The chaos of battle became something ordered, something controlled, something beautiful in its efficiency. The system fell in 9 days. 40 years of control ended in less than 2 weeks. When the news reached Coalition High Command, there was silence. Then there was celebration. For the first time in 3 centuries, the war felt different. For the first time, victory seemed possible. The message, intercepted from communication channels, confirmed it. Avoid the small ones from the blue planet. They do not fight like the others. They do not stop. They learn. They adapt. They do not know they are supposed to lose. Commander Telos read the intercept and laughed. It was a sound the only made in moments of overwhelming relief. He had taken a chance on the humans. He had argued for them before the high command. He had staked his reputation on a species everyone thought was weak. He had been right. In the liberated system, Sargent stood on the surface of the main planet. Around him, human soldiers were setting up permanent bases. Coalition flags flew for the first time in 40 years. They were gone. Park walked up beside him. One system down, how many more to go? Looked at the sky. Somewhere out there, billions of waited, thousands of conquered systems, countless battles still to fight. All of them, he said. Lee joined them. The coalition is already asking for more human soldiers. They want to expand the program. Good, there are 8 billion more of us waiting. Smiled, I do not think they understand what they have started. Minyu was sitting nearby, playing a game on a small device. He did not look up. They started a war with humans. That was their first mistake. What was their second mistake? Asked. Minyu finally looked up. His eyes were sharp and cold. Thinking they could win. The war was far from over. Centuries of conflict remained. Battles would be fought. Lives would be lost. The road to victory would be long and bloody. But for the first time in 300 years, the coalition believed they could win. Because they had humans now. And humans did not know how to lose. Across the galaxy, the swarm began to learn fear. It was a feeling they had never experienced before. They would experience it many more times in the years to come. The tide had turned. And somewhere on a small blue planet called Earth, 8 billion more humans waited for their chance to join the fight. The universe would never be the same.